Today we're going to talk about factoring trinomials. One way that you can know that is because I wrote that right there. Factoring trinomials. Yeah, for real. Okay. So, what is a trinomial? It's three terms, right? Three numbers, three terms. Okay. So, before we get to that, can we back up just a little bit and just talk about some really easy stuff? Okay, let's start here then. I'm going to take this paper and move it to the side for a second. This is going to prepare us for what we need to do today. Trust me. Okay? That is a 6. I'm very proud that you know that. Excellent. Okay? Can you tell me what numbers multiply to be 6? 1 and 3, 2 and 6. Okay? I think I said that wrong. I'm sorry. I wrote it right. 2 and 3 and 1 and 6. Okay? What about 12? 3 and 4, 2 and 6, and 1 and 12. Well, that's a good question. Okay? So there was not a whole lot of things that multiply to be 6. So we just wrote down in the order that we thought of them, right? Okay? But once we get to start getting to numbers like 12, we want to remember all of them. Okay? So just a quick way in your head, this is not required in any way, shape, or form. But when I do it, I just start with 1. And then the next one that's a factor of 12 would be 2, so it would be 2 and 6. And the next one's a factor of 12 is 3, and that would be 3 and 4, right? It also helps me remember or know when I can stop, right? Okay. What about 24? 1 and 24. 2 and 12. 3 and 8. 4 and 6. Why don't I write 6 and 4? I already have it. Does it matter what order we multiply in? It doesn't. So once I have 4 and 6, I don't have to write 6 and 4 because I already have that, right? So that's what I was saying. This helps me know when to stop too because I already got the 6 right over here. So I don't know, 5 doesn't divide evenly into 24, right? Okay. What about 100? Ooh, that's a big number. That one must be hard. Okay, 1 and 100. 2 and 50. 3 doesn't work, does it? 4 and 25. 5 and 20. 10 and 10. That's it, right? None of that was hard, was it? Okay, well think about this for me. Can you do the same kind of thing if I said what numbers add to be 6? Okay, what numbers add to be 6? 5 and 1, 6 and 0. Is that it?
No,
4 and 2. Is that it? 3 and 3. Is that it? How far could I go? Right, forever, right? I don't want to list them all. I couldn't. Okay? But do we need to go back and look back at these up here and talk again about that? Numbers multiply to be 6. What about -1 and -6? What about -2 and -3? Now, listen, time out. Stop freaking out, you crazy kids. I almost said weirdos, but that wouldn't have been rude. Not saying it's not true. I'm just saying it would have been rude. It would have been whack, okay? So, I'm hoping that we can get pretty quickly so that we're not writing down anything at all. Okay? I'm hoping that we can pretty quickly get to where we're doing stuff like this in our head. Okay? I told you even at the beginning of the year, we need to work on our numeracy, our comfortableness with numbers. Okay? That's going to really come into play here because I need us to be able to do some of this stuff in our head. Okay? Because here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to factor a trinomial. Guys, but if you can do these kind of things, you got it made. All right? So if we're doing factoring a trinomial, back to this page, and I said to you, here's our trinomial, x squared plus 5x plus 6. Before we go to factor it, I need you to notice something. All of the ones that we're doing today, the leading coefficient is 1. Okay? All of the ones we're doing today have a leading coefficient of 1. And that's super, 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 super important. Okay? The things that we're talking about today are not really going to work tomorrow when we're factoring other trinomials that don't have a leading coefficient of 1. Okay? Does everybody understand that? Are you sure? Okay. So all the stuff we're talking about today is true and only true if the leading coefficient is 1. Okay? So here's what I want you to think about. This is the trinomial we're going to factor first. And I need you to tell me what two numbers multiply to be 6 and add to be 5. 2 and 3, right? 2 and 3? But now watch. Watch how easy this is. X plus 2, x plus 3. Yep, that's all. Now, is there a way that you can check this so you know you got it right? You can use the distributive property and multiply it out, right? Now, we talked a little bit last week about the fact that factoring is not dividing, first of all. Okay, it's not synthetic division, it's not long division, but isn't it a form of dividing? We're dividing the trinomial or the polynomial into its parts, right? Into its factors, so it's kind of like dividing. So the way we would check it would be multiplying, right? So look, this is the check. Here's how we check it. What's x times x? X squared. What's x times 3x? I mean, x times 3, sorry. 2 times x. And 2 times 3? X squared plus 5x plus 6. Isn't that what I originally started with? Then this factorization, these two factors right here, are correct. Okay? Well, let's try this one. After I write it, I want you to count to at least 5 before you say an answer out so that we let everybody have a chance to think. Is that fair? X squared plus 7x plus 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. X plus 3, x plus 4. The two numbers that multiply to be 12, the two numbers that multiply to be 12 are 3 and 4, and those two numbers also add to be 7. Does that make sense? Do these get harder? How? Bigger numbers will obviously make it harder. Okay, what about something like this? X squared minus 7x minus 18. What two numbers multiply to be negative 18 and add to be negative 7? So negative 9 and 2, right? So x minus 9, x plus 2. Now, just for argument's sake, I want to write down the steps that we are thinking in our head right now. Just in case you're struggling a little bit with this, on the next one, don't shout in an answer, please. I want to write down all the steps that we're using to think. Okay? X squared plus 2x minus 24. So remember, it has to multiply to be the last term and add to be the middle term. Guys, why do we do the multiplication first? You remember how many possibilities for adding we had? We only wrote down 6 right here, but it was an infinite list, right? So if we start with the factors, the things that multiply to be that number, it's a lot easier to figure out what numbers we need to add to. Okay? So here's what we're thinking in our head. We're thinking the factors of negative 24. Well, 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8. What? 4 and 6? He's telling me the answer after I ask him not to. Yeah, it's okay. 1 and 24, 2. Now, I didn't write any negatives. Are you okay with that? But you remember, if it multiplies to be negative, one of these has to be a negative and one has to be a positive, right? So all I did was write down the factors of 24. I know it has to be one of them be negative, one to be positive for my multiplication, for two numbers to multiply to be negative 24, right? But I'm trying to figure out what two factors are going to add to be 2. Well, no combination of a 1 or a negative 1, 24 or a negative 4 are going to add to be 2, are they? Same with 2 and 12. 3 and 8 is getting closer, but still not quite. 4 and 6. So now I have to figure out, is the 4 negative or the 6 negative? Well, if I have to add them together to get a positive 2, which one has to be negative? The negative 4 and positive 6 would multiply to be a negative 24, and they would add to be positive 2, right? So these are the two factors I need. So x minus 4 and x plus 6. Oh, that's a good question. Does it matter? Could I write x plus 6 and x minus 4? It doesn't matter what order I multiply. Could I write x minus 6 and x plus 4? No, that's bad, right? The signs are wrong on that one. When I say it doesn't matter what order you multiply in, I could have the x minus 4 here or here. I could have the x plus 6 here or here, but I still have to have a positive 6 and a negative 4. You okay with that? Okay. X squared. Let's see. Minus 48, x plus 100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What you got? Oh, what you got? Oh, okay. I want you to say something. X plus 50, x minus 50, x plus 2. Okay, so time out. Why are you saying wait, Gabby? What's wrong? That's negative 100.
Whoa.
Something's not okay here, is it? You've got big weird? Is this trinomial factorable? If it's not factorable, what do we write? Prime. Okay. What about this one? Is that better? What's that one? Negative 50, positive 2. Very good. Any questions about this? Okay. These are the ones I want you to circle on your worksheet. Okay? These are the ones that I want you to circle on your worksheet. On factoring quadratic side A, I want you to circle number 5, number 6, number 9, number 10, and number 18. This is on side A, 5, 6, 9, 10, and 18. And on side E, we're just talking about vowels, right? So we're good. 3, 6, 9, 15, 16. So there's 40 questions because there's 20 on each side. I assigned 10. So you have 30 extra credit. Any questions? All right, peace.